Floppy disk. A floppy disk is a magnetic storage device that was once the standard for sharing files, installing software, and running computers. It was introduced in the 1970s, with the most common version, the 3.5-inch floppy, becoming popular in the late 1980s. It's a thin magnetic disk inside a plastic shell that you insert into a drive to read and write data. And this was a big deal. Before floppy disks, data was stuck on a single machine. With this, you could finally carry your files, move them, share them, back them up. That pushed computing into a new phase and made collaboration between systems possible for the first time. It also changed how people thought about ownership of data. But here's the reality. A floppy disk could hold just 1.44 megabytes. One image on your phone today is already bigger than that. And yet, people installed entire operating systems using stacks of these things well into the 1990s. They were also slow, fragile, and easily damaged. But none of that mattered then. It was the first real step toward portable storage. So naturally, the next step wasn't just portability, it was making it bigger. Magnetic tape. A magnetic tape stores data on long strips of magnetized film. It dates back to the 1950s, making it one of the oldest storage technologies still in use today. Unlike floppy disks, tape was built for scale. It could store massive amounts of data, making it ideal for backups and archives. But there's a catch. Tape is sequential. You can't open a file instantly. You have to go through everything in order, like rewinding a movie. Need something at the end? You wait. In large systems, this delay could become a real bottleneck. Sounds inefficient, and it is. But here's the twist. Magnetic tape never disappeared. It's still used today in massive data centers because it's cheap, durable, and can last over 30 years. Modern formats like LTO introduced in 2000 store multiple terabytes per cartridge. So while one path focused on portability, this one focused on capacity. And the next step tried to combine both. Optical disks. Instead of using magnetism, optical disks store data using lasers. The CD was introduced in 1982, followed by DVDs in the 1990s and Blu-ray in 2006. All work by writing microscopic pits onto a disk surface read by a laser. This was a huge shift. Storage became standardized and easy to distribute. Music, movies, games, software, everything came on disks and could be used across different devices. It also enabled global distribution at scale for the first time. CDs held around 700 megabytes. DVDs increased that to 4.7 gigabytes. Blu-ray pushed it to 25 or even 50 gigabytes. But there was a problem. One scratch. And your data could become unreadable. Entire collections could be ruined by poor handling. And then the internet got faster in the late 2000s. Streaming and downloads didn't just compete with disks. They replaced them. Convenience won over ownership. So storage moved again. This time, into the computer itself. Hard disk drive. A hard drive uses spinning magnetic disks called platters, with a mechanical arm that moves across them to read and write data. The first hard drive was introduced by IBM in 1956, but personal computer hard drives became common in the 1980s and 1990s. This was a major turning point. For the first time, you could store large amounts of data directly on your machine. Everything in one place. Systems became faster and more independent. And even today, hard drives are still widely used for one reason. They're cheap. You get massive storage for very little money. This made digital content explode in size over time. But here's the trade-off. They have moving parts. That means failure over time. Drop your laptop the wrong way, and your data can be gone. They're also slower than newer technologies. But for backups and bulk storage, they still make sense. So the next step wasn't just more storage, it was making storage smaller and faster. USB drive. A USB drive is a miniature storage device using flash memory. USB was introduced in 1996, and flash drives became popular in the early 2000s. No moving parts. You plug it in, transfer files, and you're done. This made storage incredibly convenient. You could carry gigabytes in your pocket. It worked on almost any computer and required no setup. File sharing became effortless. This removed many barriers for everyday users. But here's the problem. They're so small, they disappear. Lost, forgotten, gone. The technology is reliable, the handling isn't. They're also not ideal for long-term storage. Still, they marked a clear shift toward portability, and then storage got even smaller. Memory card. Memory cards use flash memory and are designed for compact devices like cameras and smartphones. The SD card standard was introduced in 1999, and microSD followed in 2005. They're tiny, lightweight, and durable. Modern cards can store up to a terabyte of data, enabling high-resolution photos and videos on small devices. But performance depends on speed class. Use a slow card, and your device can't keep up. Dropped frames or failed recordings can happen. So while they're useful, they require the right match between device and capability. At this point, storage is small and efficient. But it still has one limitation. It's physical. Solid-state drive. The SSD removes the biggest weakness of older storage devices. No moving parts. Just electronic storage using flash memory. Consumer SSDs became mainstream in the late 2000s, and this is where everything speeds up. Boot times drop. Programs open instantly. Systems feel smooth. Productivity improves across all tasks. There are two main types. SATA SSDs are faster than hard drives. NVMe SSDs go further, reaching several gigabytes per second. They're also more durable. Drops don't affect them like hard drives. The downside is cost. You pay more per gigabyte, but for most people today, SSDs are the standard. So now storage is fast and reliable. And then the biggest shift happens. Cloud and NAS. Storage is no longer something you hold. Cloud storage became mainstream in the 2010s. It allows you to store data on remote servers and access it from anywhere. Your files are no longer tied to a single device. They exist across multiple systems at once. That means backups, sharing, and access across devices. Lose your laptop? Your data is still there. But there's a trade-off. No internet means no access. And most services require subscriptions. Then there's NAS, a personal version of the cloud that became popular in the late 2000s. You own the hardware and control your data, but it comes with responsibility, setup, maintenance, and protection against power outages. It's powerful, but not effortless. And this is where we are now.